If you haven't watched this interview with Radio Raheem and Roy Jones Jr., go watch this interview. I'm going to leave the link in the description box. It's always refreshing hearing Roy Jones talk. Roy Jones is a representative of how we want these fighters to act and think when it comes to competition. There's a lot of jewels. There's a lot of good information in this interview. It is very interesting. It always is when Roy Jones talks because he's a straight shooter. But he says something about Terrence Crawford, and that's what I'm just going to deal with this video today. He says something about Terrence Crawford's career moving forward. I'm going to play it, and then I'm going to come back with some commentary.
We saw Terrence Crawford here today amongst the many names in the sport of boxing who showed up, and he's got a big decision to make. If you were advising him, if he were to ask you what his next move should be in choosing a promoter and a path in his career, what would your advice to Terrence Crawford be?
Don't get no promoter at all. Go call Roy Jones Jr. Do it the Roy way. Promote yourself. You're good enough to stand on your own 2 feet. You don't need nobody. Now with this blockchain situation we got, you take that along with the guidance from Roy Jones Jr. and you don't need nobody. You can do everything your own way. You get the own fights you want. They got to come fight you because you're the man. If they don't come fight you, then they ain't no good.
I totally agree with Roy Jones Jr. I have this outlook for fighters, period. I've always said that if I was residing over these guys' career, I could easily make guys into stars. You know what I'm saying? Easily. Now, where would the money come from for me to put up this promotion train? That's a different story. But I know exactly where to place my boxer, what conversations to put him in, what shows to put him on, what radio shows I want him to visit, what TV show guest star appearance, what cameos to make in movies and all that and the whole nine. I know exactly where to place these guys to get their ball going. The shit is actually not that hard. Meaning I don't see the point of a promoter anymore. Promoters don't promote fighters. Or is it that promoters just promote the fight, but they don't promote the fighter? If you don't promote the fighter, then you're not promoting the brand. If you don't promote the brand, you just make selling the fight harder. Okay? These people need to get a grasp and get a feel of the boxer. You know what I'm saying? You need to get the American public familiar with them. So I'm not really understanding what's the point of a promoter. Promoters today is like the music industry today. Music industries and music labels don't want to put no money in artist development. They want you to come already with a fan base attached. They don't want to help you build a fan base. They want you to come with a fan base attached. So basically, they can profit off your legwork. That's how boxing is nowadays. You know, promoters ain't doing no extra work to make sure that you're known to the public. So why do these boxers need promoters? Well, if anything, there's a stigma in boxing that if you're not with a promotional company, it's going to be hard to get you fights. Now, I understand that part, but this is something that Roy Jones did with his career. All right. The reason why Roy Jones at one point in time had a lot of pushback in his career, keep in mind, Roy Jones is named one of the best pound for pound fighters of all times, one of the most entertaining fighters of all times, one of the most prolific fighters of all time. He is the originator of the formula that you've seen Floyd Mayweather use. Floyd Mayweather just took it to another level. That is being entertaining, being charismatic, being involved in music and being involved in other shit that promotes you beyond just boxing. This is why you can see Roy Jones over here, Roy Jones, and this is long after he's retired. Roy Jones has been in The Devil's Advocate. Roy Jones has been in The Matrix. Roy Jones has been in at least I think about 3 or 4 films that I know of. You know what I'm saying? Roy Jones has made records that y'all must have forgot was one of his go-to slogans. What's that single he had? Can't be stopped, can't be touched, can't be rocked. That shit's still dope right now. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I guarantee if you put that shit on, it ain't no way that you'll start bobbing your head. The point is, Roy Jones knew how to promote himself, and Roy Jones wasn't afraid to be responsible for his career. Most of the boxers don't do what they need to do simply because you guys don't want the responsibility. You really don't. But the money comes with that, bearing that kind of responsibility. And when it comes to Terrence Boyd Crawford, I don't see why he needs fucking Bob Arum. You're on top. They have to come to you. That's how it's supposed to be. A lot of you boxers can do the same thing with your career if you care to put in the work. Okay? One of the things that Bud do got going for him that I do like, because it seems somebody in Bud's camp do understand this, Bud need to make his sister, Letitia his fucking promoter, because she promotes the shit out of her brother. Defends her brother. She's very present on Twitter. She'll cut into anybody. She'll let you know about yourself. That's the kind of antics that actually Terrence Boyd Crawford needs to have, but he doesn't. But if you don't have it, then you need you an Angel Garcia. You need somebody who's going to be the mouthpiece for you. You ain't got to be the guy, but you could be next to somebody who talks about you like that. You know what I'm saying? And Letitia Crawford is a good example of how people in his camp should act and should talk, and also how Terrence Crawford could talk. Look how Terrence Crawford can set the boxing world on fire when he just apply minimum pressure to Errol Spence. He can get the whole boxing world talking. That's a force. That's a power. You use that to the point there's no conversation. There's no interview. Hell, there's not a restaurant that you can sit down in and eat without the fact of, hey man, when you gonna fight Terrence Boyd Crawford? When you gonna stop ducking that dude? You have to make it uncomfortable for them to breathe and to exist, and you will get the fight. Especially when you ain't got money on your side. Especially when you ain't got these kind of people in your pocket, that kind of people in your pocket. You have to use what power you have. And there's nothing wrong with these fighters being your own motherfucking promoter. Who makes more money than the boxer? The promoter. So wouldn't you want to get paid the most off of your blood, sweat, and tears, and possibly any damages that you'll get later on down the line? Wouldn't you? Don't you think, as the pound of flesh that's in there getting slaughtered, don't you think that you should get the bigger piece of the pie? Not somebody who's sitting in the sidelines wearing a suit, smiling, this never threw a punch in their life, whatever, but they're making the most money off your blood, but neither you or your family can make the most money off your pound of flesh. It just sounds ridiculous to me. You know, and it's to the point now that these guys should start wanting to be your own fucking promoter. This is something that I hope Boots Ennis keeps up. Now, when you enter the game like this, they're going to give you a hard time because there's always problems when you go against the established order. There's always a problem. But I hope Boots Ennis stay independent like he is. You know what I'm saying? I really hope he does. There needs to be more representation of that. Out of this whole time, you mean to tell me Roy Jones and Floyd Mayweather is the only one that can sit up and tell you that, yeah, I was in charge of my career and I promoted myself and I got paid the most? Only two fucking boxers? I mean, it's probably more, but let's just keep it plain and simple. Only two? It's time for boxers to take more self-responsibility. And also to add to this interview, why I asked you to go see it, because he talks about this new thing called Combat Chain. I haven't really looked into it, but it's about fighters getting paid more and being able to monetize everything that they do. I don't know how that system works, but I'm going to go look into it. But if you watch the interview, it sounds like a good deal. Whatever they got going on over there, it kind of sounds like basically Roy Jones saying is that you don't have to wait on big fights to get big money. You get the big money now before you get to the big fights. Like I said, I don't know how that works over at Combat Chain, but I'm finna look into it after this. So that sounds like a good deal. But the thing is, today, boxers need to be more hands-on in their career. They need to be more responsible for their popularity and their promotion. At this point, your promotion is 100% your job. It's 100% your job, without a doubt. You know, and I think the advice that he has for Terrence Crawford should try it. If not, you better get with a colossal powerhouse. You know what I'm saying? I know DAZN pays good. I do believe Floyd can do some shit for you. But at this point, either join somebody, but don't have nobody fully over you. Become partners with people if you are going to go that route. But I think what Roy Jones told Terrence Bud Crawford, he should seriously consider. And I think he should go ahead and give it a shot. You've been fucked around long enough, okay? It's about time that you do this for yourself, because you can't get fucked around no harder than you're already getting fucked around. And the only thing you have to gain is more money off your own work. So I second what Roy Jones is talking about, Terrence Crawford taking his career into his own hands. You tell me what you think about it. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. I'll be back at y'all a little bit later. I'm out.